your Audacy check-in with Max McNown. We are at the Rockstar Suite in the Hard Rock Hotel, New York. My man, the song Firstborn Daughter, it is so beautiful, and I feel like you got those lyrics that are personal but also universal. I mean, how did the whole thing come about? Tell me.
Well, thank you. I'm excited because that's kind of the new song that I love talking about, because it's just now kind of raising its hand in the social media world, and people in the shows are starting to sing it. So it's been really fun to watch what shape that has taken. I was just talking earlier today with somebody, I forget who it was this morning, and I was talking about how each of the songs, so Better Me For You and Firstborn Daughter specifically, and Done For that matter, they're all written about my wife.
Yep.
But they're written about certain aspects of her in unique ways from one another that resonate to an entirely different target audience. And so now we have some mingling of people that are brown eyes and firstborn daughters. But it's so fun writing songs that are so specifically about my wife that a bunch of people hear and make their own. It's such a beautiful thing that music can do, right? It's like, it was not the initial intention to write a song that made firstborn daughters feel heard or seen, but it's doing that. And I'm so grateful for that, because that's one of the reasons I'm even in music in the first place, is to try to help people feel less alone in whatever they're going through or struggling with who they are. You know, that's the whole goal. And so watching Firstborn Daughter and seeing all the comments of people that are like, nobody's ever complimented this specific thing about being the first one to live life in your family as a kid, and all the good things and the struggles that come with it. It kind of sheds light on that experience, and so it's been really fun to watch that thing go right now.
You're doing it right, man. So I was stalking you like hardcore.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Bro, we both worked at Starbucks one point.
Barista or shift supervisor?
Oh, excuse me. I feel
would I have been your boss?
You would have. But listen, I was just on the bar, dude, because I didn't like talking with all the there were some snooty people in there.
Oh, for
I didn't like
sure.
messing with them.
You were just slaying drinks, just left and right.
And I didn't have to talk to many people. So you were like a goody two shoes. So you never like sabotaged anyone's drinks or anything? No. Oh, we wouldn't have gotten along.
No, but I did actually, and I don't think this can get me in trouble all these years later. Maybe it can. But I definitely had certain people where I knew they liked it sweeter than what they would say. It was almost like this mental break where they didn't want to tell me that they wanted 8 pumps of syrup.
Okay.
And then they would give it back to me and say it's not sweet enough. And so after a while, I was like, I'm just going to put double every time. And they loved it.
You like read them.
Yeah,
so well.
I was like, okay, if you're going to bring it back every time, I'm just going to put more pumps than you're asking for.
Bro, I was the opposite end of the spectrum. I had some terrible regulars, and I was like, you know what?
I love
you're
that
getting
you used
decaf
that term
today. You're not getting the good stuff.
I never did.
And then
I never purposely did a decaf, but that is a diabolical move. And I respect it. I respect it.
So was that the last job you had before things popped off?
Yeah.
So how'd you quit? Like, what'd you...
I put in, luckily I had wonderful relationships with all of the managers that I ever had. And the final store I worked at was in Redmond, Oregon, neighboring Bend. And I put in my 2 weeks. I was trying to do both because I wasn't 100% sure that this was even going to work. And I didn't know where it was going. And I took my first trip to Nashville, and I was gone for 30 or so days. And then I came back and started working again, and it felt so much had changed, and it felt weird. And I felt like I wasn't being the worker that I want to be when I'm just like dipping for so long. And so after that first trip, and I knew that there was a second one coming of a longer length, I just said, I think it's time. So I put
That's so scary though. Like
for
taking that full leap, because especially with Starbucks, you work X amount of hours and you get the full health insurance,
healthcare.
Yes, bro. It's scary.
Yeah.
And you took that leap and you didn't turn back, huh?
Yeah. There's a video of me. I wanted to be theatrical for some reason, and I jumped out the drive-through window. And that was how I exited Starbucks for the last time.
I love that.
And actually, when my coworkers, I made so many wonderful friends that I'm still friends with to this day from Starbucks. And my coworkers were so encouraging. They were part of the push to have me go pursue this, right? And so before I jumped out the drive-through window that day, they asked me to sign their Starbucks cups just in case someday, because they believed in me, and before I believed in myself at all, so it it was a really cool moment. And Starbucks is great. I had a great time.
Were you always a great songwriter, or were there things like what was the hardest for you? Lyrics, melodies, arrangement,
definitely instrumentation.
Okay.
The arrangement.
Okay.
I'm still not a great guitarist. I can play acoustic well enough to keep rhythm on stage, and I know more than I knew years ago. But just being self-taught, the whole reason I started guitar was because I knew very well that was my weak point. I couldn't. It's very difficult to write a song without any chord structure. Yeah, sure, it's almost impossible. You can try, but it's very difficult. And so I started to learn just simple chords because I was watching Zach Bryan and Tyler Childers kind of write beautiful poetry over a very similar chord progression in each song. And it made me realize that you don't have to be a shredder in order to write music. You just need to have a foundational knowledge of progressions that you can use, and the melodies take care of themselves. That's kind of what separates, because there's only how many notes? Eight notes on the entire. You're asking.
No matter
scale.
How bad you are, I'm way worse. So you're asking the wrong person.
Like, music theory is not my thing. But I do everything by feel. But there's only a certain amount of notes that are even possible. And so it's more about the melody and the lyrics that for me carry the song. And I to talk about where it came from real quick, I feel like I've always been. My mom always would joke when we'd go on hikes, I was the one in the very back picking up sticks and making little bow and arrows and looking at the trees. And I've always loved nature. I've always been drawn to beauty of creation and art. And my dad gave a speech at my wedding, and my producer, Jamie Kinney, who produced Night Diving, Cost of Growing Up, and this next record that's coming out, Jamie watched the speech, and he turned to me after it and he goes, "That's where you get your songwriting." Because my dad has spoken to me. The way he can use analogies to help someone understand a difficult thing they're going through is incredible. And I've grown up with that my whole life. And he used to sing songs and change out the lyrics on the fly with our names in them. And so my dad's been very musically talented and creative throughout my life. And those analogies are basically what songwriting is. It's finding ways to relatably explain things that you're going through in life and emotions and experiences that you're having in a song, you know, in a different way than people may have heard before. And so I grew up with that, and that's why I feel like it's kind of ingrained in me.
Because you're coming out with these songs that are so personal and uniquely you, do you like songwriting by yourself or in a collaborative space?
So I like it in a collaborative space. I wrote my first few songs by myself. Having somebody to tell you if something just is kind of stupid or really just out there. What's important to me is that it comes from my heart and my notes page. You know, like I'll be writing stuff all the time into my notes page. It gets really eclectic, just whether it's poetry, a single word. You know, my song St. Helens Alpenglow was based off of me walking into the room and saying, I saw this word somewhere, and it's the most beautiful word ever. It's the orange hue that a sunrise or sunset casts upon a mountaintop. I'm like, we can fit that in a song. Let's figure out how to write a song that represents the beauty that word holds within it. And that's how that song started. So my notes page is all over the place, but it's very, very important to me. And that's why I'll never take outside rights for the rest of my career. You know, I'm never going to take a song written by someone else to be a hit and given to me, because that's not me. You know, I want me and my heart and what I want to say to make its way into every bit of music that I put out. And so the collaborators that I use are those that now know me very well. And I love going to the writers that know what I will and won't say and are able to not impose their opinions or their artistry on me, but look at what I am trying to say in my artistry and to lift that up. And so co-writing is amazing. It's kind of like an editor for, you know, a magazine or even a book, right? It's like you can write it all out on the page, but it's really nice to have somebody that kind of checks looks through it.
So are you bouncing some of these raw lyrics then off your dad? Are you giving things to him for
I bounce
advice?
My songs off my dad.
Okay.
My dad hears every song that I write before it releases. And there are some that he loves that actually don't end up seeing the light of day. So I don't hold, again, it's so personal to me. And especially with this next album, we had roughly 40 to 45 songs written, and we handpicked the 17 that meant the most to me, that I felt represented what I wanted to say. So at the end of the day, I am very particular, but I love hearing advice. My siblings all hear the songs. My parents hear the songs. My wife hears the songs. Everybody hears the songs before they come out. But at the end of the day, it's my decision if it makes it on the album.
Up to this point, have you had a chance to meet any of your idols, get advice from any of your idols?
Absolutely. Noah Kahan would be first and foremost.
And you love him.
That's cool. He's definitely, lyrically, the way that he writes is so unique. And in a world where the cheap benefit seems to come from writing what has been written. And kind of making people hear a song that they feel like they've already heard before. That's a very common thing. And Noah Kahan my favorite line that I quote from him all the time is from Growing Sideways, his song Growing Sideways. And it's the first line of the song. And it says, "So I took my medication and I poured my trauma out on some sad-eyed middle-aged man's overpriced new leather couch." And I hear that and I go, you can write anything. You can write anything in a song. Like the weirder and the more unique it is to you, the better, in my opinion. And so that's where all that inspiration comes from. My songs wouldn't look the same as they do without Noah Kahan. And I had the privilege of playing his Out of the Blue Fest in Cancun. And I was able to sing Paul Revere, which is my other favorite artist is Gregory Alan Isakov. And so they collaborated on Paul Revere. So when I got asked to do a song, I sent my selection and Paul Revere was number one, and they gave me Paul Revere. So I sang that with Noah. I met Thomas Rhett a few days ago. I've always looked up to him. He is just the way he carries himself on and off the stage. Family man, faith forward, beautiful songwriting, and an incredible voice. And he gave me really good advice right after my set. Sometimes the crowd, especially when you're opening, there will be some nights where you're like, oh, it felt like this whole crowd knew my stuff. And then there are nights that maybe that crowd was primarily for someone else, and you are just trying to earn as many fans as possible. That's what that night was for me. And so when I finished up the show, I came backstage and I wasn't discouraged, but I was just thinking, I kind of wish that went a little better, you know? And Thomas Rhett came up to me and he congratulated me on the set. He said it was awesome. And I was telling him, I'm like, honestly, it's pretty new to me to be playing direct support for an hour and 15 minutes. Like I'm 2 years into touring. So this is all happening really fast, and I'm learning how to fill that space. You know, I basically what he told me was what he noticed is that when I was out there, he didn't feel as though I was trying to be cooler than I am. I was not, I seemed to represent the humility that I try to stand for. And he said, most importantly, you can tell that you're on that stage because you love music and you love people. And I was like, that's it. When I go on the stage, I don't want to try to prove that I'm the best singer. I don't want to try to prove that I'm the best guitarist, songwriter, whatever. I want to have immense gratitude, a really good time, and just pray that gets reciprocated by the crowd. Love you that. Know? And so when Thomas said that to me, I was like, that made this entire show, this entire trip, everything worth it. Because I look up to him so much, and to hear that, whew,
bro. And you are fairly new to the game, right? And you're doing these long sets. Did you early on? Did you find yourself getting fatigued? Were there things you needed to change?
Yeah. Oh my gosh! When I first started singing, I had one vocal lesson before touring for the first time. And that vocal lesson is still one that I listen to before every show. But even then, I've learned so much about how to preserve my voice. You have to preserve it on and off the stage. It's not just how you sing on stage. It's your vocal warm-ups beforehand. Right. And something that's new to me right now after postponing a few shows due to sickness is the cool down. I never did cool downs, and I've started to do them, and I realize that I wake up in the morning feeling way better and less groggy. And so there's so much that you have to do. You want to eat healthier. Like a lot of grease and dairy is not great for acid reflux, and there's a lot of things that you learn throughout touring, and even just on stage. When I was first starting out, every single show was the craziest adrenaline dump that I've ever experienced. And as it gets more and more normalized, I've played over 300 shows at this point. And so as it gets more normalized, I realize how important breathing is,
Yeah.
keeping composure.
For sure.
You can still put emotion and put energy into a song without screeching and belting from your chest on every single note. And that was something that I had to learn because I was just shredding my vocals night in and night out.
And that's your tool, man.
Yeah.
Before we wrap, who's a artist like before your generation, before your time that you want to be a fan of, but you feel like you haven't dedicated enough listening to? Because truth be told, like I love the Beach Boys, but I really only know their hits. Like I feel like I haven't listened deeply to their albums. Do you have somebody like that?
That's a super unique question. I love that. Johnny Cash.
Oh,
Johnny Cash. Yes. Like I know, like
totally.
Folsom Prison Blues. I know his cover of Hurt, Walk the Line, Burning Ring of Fire. You know, I know those, but I have not dug deep enough into his discography to be able to say that I'm like a full out Johnny Cash fan.
Yeah.
I feel fraudulent
when
I say it, you know?
Totally.
Because he's had an influence, and honestly, I think the Hurt cover and the music video of Hurt is the best music video ever made, in my opinion. But I don't feel like I've done a deep enough dive to be able to call myself a full Johnny Cash fan. You know,
I love that. Max, thank you so much, man. Congratulations on everything. You are just exploding right now. Everything you touch has been really wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. This was a blast.
Enjoy that video? See more interviews, more performances, and more of your favorite artists by subscribing and downloading the free Audacy app.